Hello, it's your friend Artemis, sick as a dog, here on the third day of 2020. Might be the fourth by the time this uploads, but I wanted to share with you my 20 goals for this year. For the last few years, I've been setting myself goals and challenges to last the duration of the year, as opposed to setting like vague New Year's resolutions like be more healthy or take up a new hobby, like things like that. I find ridiculously not useful and way too vague. So I've been setting specific, measurable, clear challenges for myself to complete throughout the year, and I wanted to share what my 21s with you were for this year. The key to success the last couple of years have been setting goals that are big enough that they keep me making progress towards them regularly, as opposed to like, oh, I'll do it later, that kind of thing. But also small enough that they don't completely overwhelm me. They fit right into that little sweet spot right there. In 2018, I set myself the challenge of watching a film that I'd never seen before every single day, and I overachieved on that challenge. In 2019, my goal was to write for an hour every day, or the equivalent of, so 365 hours of writing, which I just made in the nick of time, probably like 3 hours before midnight or something on New Year's Eve. And then also the next goal was to have 12 paid performance gigs in 2019. I got 13. I was very happy with that. So yeah, I'd call those a success. So I want to keep the spirit of this kind of goal going into 2020, but I also want to up the ante. So here are my 20 goals for 2020, which I will detail for you all now as a sort of shush. Apparently I'm having a doctor's visit in the middle of making this video, so the lighting's probably going to change by the time I come back, but that's cool. Which I will detail for you all now as a sort of mega accountability thing, in order from the ones that seem the easiest to me to the ones that seem kind of huge. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it, we'll see, that sort of thing. When you let too much time pass between shots, you get dots of light all over your chest from where the light creeps in through the plants outside. Sorry, I'm a dork in case you haven't noticed. Drumroll. Number 20. Do a class in a new skill. This is pretty straightforward. I just want to do a class in something that I've never done before. I want to be taught formally by someone who knows what they're talking about, as opposed to, just learning things off the internet or whatever. I'm going to do an actual in real life class or a formalized course. It can be not necessarily in real life. These bloody spots are bothering me. You might want to change camera angle slightly so I avoid them. I don't know if this is working. Is that better? No, that's worse. It's on my face now. Is that better? I think the wind's just going to keep changing this situation. A skill or something, that I'm unfamiliar with, something new. So it could be how to cook dumplings properly. It could be how to code in JavaScript. It could be a martial art. A way to do a particular hairstyle. I don't know, could be anything. I'm excited to find out what I choose. Number 19, try 20 new foods. Again, pretty straightforward. This one's made a bit harder by already having eaten a lot of different kinds of food, and also by being vegan. So to find 20 things I have not encountered before that I'm also able to eat. Because yeah, there are plenty of things I can think of that I've never eaten, but they're mostly some form of animal, like, snails or crickets. Like, I know people eat those. I'm not going to want to because, you know, vegan. But I'm sure I will find something. Some obscure fruit that I've never heard of before, and I will try it, and it'll be fantastic. Or it'll be awful. I don't actually know what my reaction to this new thing will be, but it's gonna be fun regardless. Number 18. Shut up, you. You are banned. Number 18. Hang out with 20 friends. I want to hang out with people that I care about. Spend time with them, quality time. Doing whatever we decide we want to do. I want to encourage myself to reach out to people, because that's one of the things I struggle with most as a person. I love people. I love a lot of people. I'm really bad at staying connected, so I want to challenge myself to prioritize that this year. Number 17. Visit 20 towns I've never been to before. So just like the food challenge, this one is to get me appreciating the world around me just a little bit more. It'll be helped by the fact that I'm planning some overseas travel this year, so definitely a high chance of me encountering places I've never been to before, but I think this is a challenge I can roll over every year. Even in Australia, there's so many places I haven't been to, so I'm very excited by the prospect of this. I'm gonna find some cool ass new places and have an awesome time. I just cannot wait. Number 16. Just a little bit harder. I want to finish 20 seasons of television shows that I've already started. I have about 50 TV shows that I've started but haven't finished. And I made myself this rule that I'm not allowed to start watching any new TV shows until I catch up on these 40 to 50 TV shows. And I've just also not done that. So I've basically banned myself from watching television, which is probably not the best idea since, you know, it's one of our society's biggest de-stressors and like ways to engage with each other. So I want to make a dint in catching up. I'm not saying I've got to watch 20 whole shows, I'm saying I've watched 20 seasons of those shows. So it feels a little big, but also still pretty achievable, considering I've got like 2 episodes of the 2nd season of Runaways left. Like, that'll count as finishing a season. Like the 4th season of Sherlock has 4 episodes, 3 episodes. How have I forgotten how many episodes that show has per season? Probably because I don't care anymore. But, you know, tick those off so that I can free myself up to watch some new things. I can finally go watch, you know, The Good Place or any of the other really great TV shows that have come out in the last few years that I've banned myself from watching. So, looking forward to that. Number 15. Back up all of my writing projects monthly. So 12 times I want to back up all of my shit because I've come too close to losing it too many times. Don't want to do that. No, that's bad. That's very bad. We don't like that. So this goal is to counter that fear of existential peril at losing literally everything because I keep forgetting to do it. So that's why it's on the list. Number 14. Read 20 books. I used to be that child that read a book literally every day, like a whole new book every day. But I haven't really read anything for leisure since at least a novel. Like, I've read plays, but even then not necessarily for leisure, usually for study or for career development. I haven't read any novels, even any non-fiction books, probably since I was about 15, 16. Like, it's been a while. So I want to re-encourage myself to read more, because I'm a writer and everyone says good writers read. So I need to read more. It doesn't matter that I mostly write plays and screenplays. Like, I think reading a diverse range of things would be good for me. So I want to try and get into that again as much as I can. So 20 books for 2020 feels a bit much. It's more than one a month, but I can do it. I can do it. I believe in myself. I can do it. Number 13. Hold a reading of a play or a screenplay that I wrote. So I've done a lot of writing. 2019, the year of writing. And I have terrible first drafts of 3 feature-length films and 2 full-length screenplays, a bunch of shorter stuff. I think it's time I brushed 1 or 2 of them up and got them ready to be seen or heard by other humans. So yeah, a reading is due. So put this on the list and it becomes something that I gotta do. And it's not just like a one-off task. I had other things on this list initially. I probably shared this list with a couple of friends, and they'll be hearing me talking through it now and be like, that's different. I got rid of applying for a passport and getting my driver's license because those things felt a bit to-do listy as opposed to a challenge. This is a bit more challenging. It requires a bit of work to be able to do, even though it's like one event. There's a lot of things that have to happen in the lead up to it. So it'll be challenging, but I'm excited. Number 12. Direct a show. In a similar vein, I really want to invest in my skills, which is why I did the performance goal in the performance goal in 2019. This year I want to work on directing more. I really love directing. I don't do enough of it, so putting 2 or 3 on this list would feel huge. I'm still not quite in directorial world enough to feel confident doing that, but I want to direct 1 show. Just 1. It made me very happy. It's probably a lot easier to direct a short film than it is to direct a show. I don't know why, because I feel like everything else about filmmaking is harder than theatre making. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to direct a play, and it's going to be awesome. Number 11. Submit a short film to a film festival. Speaking of short films, whilst I really strongly believe in making art for art's sake and it not having to be for anyone else but you and just a way to express your feelings and get something out of your system, I also really think that a lot of what you need to do with art is try and change things and share things with people so that you can influence them and they can have a conversation with you, even if they don't fully absorb your ideas. You know, you're still having that conversation. So I want to make short films. I also want to share them, and the film festival method of that is a pretty common one, and it's a pretty clear pathway of sharing things. Obviously I'll still share things smaller scale, like online, but I want to step up and do something a bit bigger. So I want to have a bigger film project that I make this year that I feel confident enough to submit to festivals. Whether or not I get picked is a different question. That's why I didn't say I was going to be in a festival. I just want to submit. And obviously I'm still making shorts because I'm a baby filmmaker. I'm a small. We'll get to the big leagues one day, but for now. Number 10. Do some sort of deliberate physical activity every day. I frame this as deliberate physical activity and not exercise because firstly, I hate exercise. Ignore that. That's my desk chair. But like, movement comes in all sorts of forms. It's not just, you know, cardio and strength training. It can be dancing, it can be stretching, it can be I don't know, balancing on one foot for as long as you possibly can. I don't know what I'm going to choose every day. I might do some classical exercisey things. I might do something a bit weird. But I want to do some sort of deliberate physical activity. Deliberate meaning it's a choice, not like walking to the train station like I do every day. I want to do some of that every day. Make a choice to do something and then do it. So that is one of my goals for 2020. Number 9, spend 175 hours writing. My goal in 2019 was to write for 365 or more hours. I wrote for 365 hours and 15 minutes. I barely made that goal, but I got so much out of it. I have projects falling out of my ears. I really want to keep the spirit of that goal, but considering how much else I'm also taking on this year, I don't want to overwhelm myself. So I chopped it in half. We're gonna do 175. I don't know if that's actually half. I can't actually remember. And I'm shit at maths. But somewhere along the line I decided that was a number. I'm gonna stick to it. 175 hours of writing. Number 8, dedicate 12 days to cleaning and decluttering. Cleaning the house or my room properly once a month shouldn't seem like a big deal, but it really is to my ADHD. It goes nah every single time, and I end up living in piles. Piles that can be useful, but they can also leave you with very little floor space. I don't normally have this much floor space. This is because I decided to implement one of my 12 days rather early on in the year because my room was becoming unlivable. It is still not even close. Like, this is more than a one-day job. I want to try and do a day every month, even if I end up doing superfluous days this month. But yeah, it's a problem for me, and I'm gonna keep working on it until I make a habit of making my space easier to live in. Number 7. Use Duolingo for 300 days or more. Duolingo may not be the best way to learn a language, but it's the best one I know of that's free and works with my brain. I have very often done long streaks, messed up one day and got really disheartened and completely given up. So that's what the 300-day goal hopefully will do, is if I get through 110 days, drop the ball, I've got that incentive to pick myself back up again. I've never made it past, I think, 200 days, something close to my longest Duolingo streak, but this isn't about the streaks, this is about continuing to go back. So I want to commit to that this year, 300 days or more. Number 6, attempt to sight sing 8 bars a day. Every day I'm going to find a piece of music I've never seen before. I'm going to attempt to sing it. I could tell you, because we're already a couple of days into the year, this is not going well so far, but that's the point, right? I take something I'm not that good at, and I work on it and I work on it, and hopefully I become better at it. It also probably doesn't help that I sound like shit, because I have no voice. But that's what happens when you start the new year with the plague, my friends. That's what happens. Number 5. Share 12 original songs online. I have written a lot of music in my time, but but very little of it exists in a place where I could just share it with people who might be interested. Basically, most of it I've written, performed at one gig, and that's the only opportunity people have had to hear it. So I want to record songs, so maybe with good audio equipment and just do audio only, or maybe I'll set up a camera in my lounge room, like the style of the To the Turnbull Government video that I posted ages ago. Or maybe if I'm performing at a gig, I'll get someone to film me performing at a gig. But I want to be uploading, ideally once a month, a piece of music that I have written, somewhere that it can be found and shared, and that people can engage with it beyond the whoever many people who came to that random gig I performed it at. So yeah, if you're interested in keeping abreast of that, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Oh god, don't I sound like a fandangled YouTuber person? That's not really what I'm trying to do. But I will be putting a portfolio of my work here on this channel, so if you want to keep an eye on that, that's probably the best way to do it. Number 4, participate in 3 paid speaking gigs. 3 gigs, it's not that hard. The hard part is I have to rely on other people for this. Someone has to decide that I am worthwhile paying as a speaker. I had 1 speaking gig in 2019. Trying to up the ante there with my goal for 3. Might not make this one. We'll see. Again, it's not entirely in my power, but I'm going to try. It's going to be good. I have a lot of things I can talk about for a very long time, so someone friggin' send the money my way. If you pay me $2, I'll count it. Probably not. I have to get paid at least, what, $30 an hour, I reckon? Yeah. Then it's probably worthwhile, yeah. Sorry. When you laugh yourself into a coughing fit, isn't that fun? Number 3, participate in 12 paid arts gigs. Back in ye old 2019, I had a goal very similar to this. It was 12 paid performance gigs. Great goal. This goal's very similar, but the problem with my 2019 goal was I got a very decent job directing and editing a short film that I couldn't count. And even though it took up a huge amount of my time and my creative energy, I couldn't count it because it wasn't performance. So this year I want to expand that to be arts. I want to be paid to work in arts, in media, and whatever form that comes in, whether I'm stage managing, whether I'm acting, whether I'm producing, whether I'm composing, whatever it is I'm doing. If I get paid for it and it's artistic, I can count it. Just takes a little bit of stress off from last year, but also encourages me to diversify my creative palette a bit this year, which is part of what I want to do anyway, so I'm very excited to see what my 12 gigs end up being. We're gonna do it. We got 13 last year and they had to be all performance. Like, we'll be fine. I'll be fine. Number 2, make 12 short films. When I say short films, I mean films between 30 seconds and half an hour. Alright? So don't go freaking out that I'm gonna like completely mess myself up. Like, some of them can be really low tech, TikTok style. I can play all the characters, doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm practicing my storytelling skills, but in the medium of film. Obviously I want to do a couple of things that are a bit more ambitious than, you know, just TikTok style, me playing all the characters, rah rah rah. But that's also an option. So if I get to December and I've made like 3, I could theoretically smash out like the other 9 pretty quickly. I don't want to have to do that, but it's an option. Yeah, so I'm excited. I have good ideas for the first couple. I haven't really got the wheels turning yet. So this is another call out type thing. I've got a lot of creative friends. Any of you interested in helping me on this insane venture? If you are, just drop me a line. Let me know, because I'd love to have your assistance, your help. Showcase your acting chops, add to your reel, whatever. I won't be able to pay you. I'm not doing any of this getting paid. But it's going to be a fun little exercise, and I think I'll learn something. If you want to come on board and you think you might learn something too, heck yeah, send me a message and we'll sort something out. Here we are at the end with the one task that I think will be the hardest for me to accomplish this year. And that is, take 1 day for rest and recreation every week. So about 52 days for the year. Now, for a normal person, this probably wouldn't sound that hard, but I am well and truly a workaholic. I wish I was just, frivolously using that word. but I actually have a real problem. I really struggle with rest. And I think part of that is conditioning from the capitalistic nightmare of society I live in. But some of that is also just me trying to hustle and make my way as an artist in this world, and that's what we've been told we have to do. We have to work and work and work and work and work, and that's fine until you burn yourself out. And I've burnt myself out many times in the past year or so. And it's not fun. I don't want to do it again. I still want to prioritize my creative career, which is why I have a lot of creative goals in this list, but I also have goals that are about stepping back, about enjoying the world I'm in, you know, watching television, reading books, going to new places, spending time with friends, all of that. All of those things are just as important, if not more so. So I really just, I want to prioritize those things, but I don't want to prioritize them in my spare time. I want to be taking one day every week just to breathe, to do things that are restful, that are fun, and that aren't work, that aren't creative work, that aren't my, you know, event career as a, you know, usher or cinema worker or ticket salesperson for concerts. Like, none of that. One day every week, just to do something else. Because if I have needed to incentivize anything in myself over the past year, it has been rest. And so it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really hard because I freak out whenever I'm not working. Like I do. I feel this anxiety, this panic growing, this thing in my back of my head constantly saying you should be working, you have this to do, you have that to do, you have this to do, you have that to do. I can't sit and enjoy spending time with my friends because the entire time in the back of my head I am yelling at myself for not being productive, and that is not a good way to live. I need to shake that out of my system, which is why this is the most important but also most challenging of my 20 goals for 2020. So that's a list. Whew. Yeah, it's a long one. Some of these I might not make, and I'm fine with that. I am fine if one or two of these fall out by the wayside, but I want to be making a good attempt, or a darn good attempt at each of them, because they're all pretty important to me. I'm already regretting the sightseeing and the exercise just a bit because, yeah, every day's a big ask. But I know that I'm doing it for good reasons, you know. The only reason I was able to do what I could do with writing and with what I did with the film watching was because I committed to a very large number of things and I had to do it basically every day. With those challenges, I swapped them from being everyday challenges to 365 plus challenges. Because there were some days I just couldn't, and that's going to happen at some point. At some point, I'm not going to be able to make myself frickin' read that line. But that's fine, because then I'll just do 2 of them the next day and I'll be back on track. But yeah, anyway, that's enough of my random ramblings. Thanks for watching and caring enough about my life to listen to this bullshit. If you wanna be around for the songs when they happen, they're gonna be here. Not my bedroom. This place on the internet. That's what I mean by here. And probably most of the short films too will end up here. So feel free to come along for that journey. Otherwise, have a good evening and happy 2020. I hope it's as good for you as I'm hoping it's good for me. That's a very strangely formed sentence. I think you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking before I talk myself into a wall. Yeah, bye.